Alright, so this is a video about multi-step equations. So what I have found is that a lot of times we forget how to solve some equations and we forget some rules about how things are supposed to work. So this is just a few equations to kind of remind you how this goes. So here's my first one. It's 8y plus 4 minus 2y equals 22. So one thing I want you to notice is where the equal sign is. So if you'll notice, your equal sign is right here. And so when I talk about one side of the equation or the other side of the equation, then what I'm talking about is on one side of the equal sign or the other. So if you look on the left side of that equal sign, I have two different terms that have y's in them. And so since they have the same variable, we call those like terms. That means I can put these together. And since they're on the same side of the equation, I do not have to change any signs. I'm just going to use the signs that they already have. So that's 8y minus 2y, which will make this 6y. And everything else is going to be the same. I'm just going to bring down that plus 4 and my equals and my 22. Alright, so ultimately our goal is to get the variable by itself. So since this has a plus 4, we'll do the inverse or opposite of that, which means we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. Okay, that'll just make this a 6y now, since 4 minus 4 makes that 0. And 22 minus 4 is going to be 18. Then we'll divide both sides by the 6, since right now it was 6 times y, so dividing would be the inverse operation. And so 6 divided by 6 leaves me with just a 1y, and 18 divided by 6 is 3. So that problem would give us y equals 3. Alright, so let's look at another example. So let's do 12x minus 18 equals 10x plus 6. So if you look at our equal sign this time, it is right there. And so you'll notice where our x's are, I have a 12x on one side and a 10x on the other side. They're not on the same side of the equation, so I can't just put them together the way that they are. Instead, I'm going to have to change the sign of one in order to move it to the other side. So, since this is a 12x and a 10x, I usually prefer to move the smaller one. So I'm going to take the 10x and move it to the other side. So since it's a positive 10, I'm going to subtract the 10x. 12x minus 10x will leave me with 2x, and the rest of it will be the same, minus the 18. 10x minus 10x, that's canceled out because that makes 0 now, and I just have a 6. Okay, so you've got to remember when they're on different sides of the equal sign, different sides of the equation, you have to change a sign to move it to the other side. So this is a minus 18. We'll add the 18 to both sides. 6 plus 18 is 24, and then since that's a 2x, we'll divide by the 2, and we're going to get x equals 12 on that one. Okay. Alright, so let's look at another one that's a little bit more involved than this one. Okay, so let's do 4 times n minus 7 equals negative n minus 8. So sometimes you have an equation that has parentheses in it, and so when we have a parentheses, then what we need to do is we need to distribute. So that means I need to take this 4 and I need to multiply it times everything that's inside my parentheses. That means 4 times the n and 4 times the negative 7. So 4 times the n would give me 4n. 4 times the negative 7 would give me the minus 28. And I haven't done anything with the right side of my equation yet, so it's still equal to negative n minus 8. Alright, so I've got two variables, but they're on different sides of the equal sign. So I'm going to need to change signs to move from one side to the other. So we are going to add the n. 4n plus n is going to make that 5n. Remember, when there is not a number written in front, that's a understood 1. So that's a plus 1. That was a negative 1, so we added 1. So that's 5n minus 28 equals negative 8. Add 28. That gives me 5n equals 20. And then our last step is going to be to divide by that 5. And we will get n equals 4. Okay. So let's look at one more example, and then that will be all for this review. Okay. All right, so let's do 4x minus 2 times x minus 5 equals negative 2. All right, so notice I have parentheses like we did last time, so I'm going to need to distribute. So I'm going to take this 2 that's in front of the parentheses, it's going to get multiplied by the x and multiplied by the negative 5. But also notice in front of the 2 there is a negative, so it's really like I'm multiplying negative 2 times everything that's in parentheses. Okay, and the other parts I'm going to leave the same for now, so I'm just going to bring down this 4x. Negative 2 times x will make this minus 2x. Negative 2 times negative 5 will make this a plus 10. Alright, so notice where your variables are. Are they on the same side or are they on different sides of the equation? This time they're on the same side, so that means I can go ahead and combine them the way that they are. 4x minus 2x is 2x. Bring down my plus 10 equals negative 2. Since it's a positive 10, we'll subtract it from both sides. And since we have a 2x, we'll divide by 2. And so we will get x equals negative 6.